When I approached the religion, it was because I felt that I had a really good handle on the physical world, and the world that I could see. But I felt that there was something that I wasn't seeing. There was something out there that was more than what I felt like I could achieve. Like there's got to be more than these material things that I want. There's more, and I felt it, I can feel it, but I don't know how to access it. Otura Mun, Otura Iroso. Otura Mun. It's a process of life, looking at where my consciousness is at and trying to align myself with that. A literal rebirth. We die a spiritual death and we're born the very same day. The first act of that day is to write my name. Iworime. Obime. Irosome. Ibamo polo. Omitutu, Onatutu, Tutumini, Tutu la rosa, Tutu la jeropa, Tutu huecoco, Tutu wo, Tutu ma, Tutu inle, Tutu aritu babalawo. Aquí tu hijo pidiendo su marca de bravo, mi natura dosomu, aragua, dirosumi aragua de así, maloluche rompivo, ese gorico, odorum, oyu, orum, la yuru, la iguaya, urumla. Ifa is not only a way for me to better understand the spiritual world, it's also a way for me to reclaim part of what I feel I've lost, be it through the Middle Passage or circumstances of my life. I was born Mark Underwood. In fact, I probably wasn't born Mark Underwood. I was probably born under another name because I was adopted and then renamed by adoptive parents. So they adopted me at 6 months, and then they adopted my younger brother. A few years on down the line, they adopted my younger sister, Christina. You see Star Wars yet? Are you going to turn the camera around? There you go. That's where you're going to see. You see Star Wars yet?
I ain't never seen Star Wars. I'm not a Star Wars person. Wow. I think I first seen Star Wars when they look like Scrooge and stuff. I ain't never seen him look like that, so that's why I just
wow.
But now we got Harrison Ford in it, right?
Harrison Ford came out again this last time.
They only paid him $20 million to do it.
I'll take 5.
Yeah.
I'll pay. I've done for 5.
My mother is from South Dakota, a really small town. She moved to Indiana to do some sort of church work and to go to school. And she met my father, who is African American, and he grew up, he was kind of, I think, born in the South. I remember him telling me that he was picking cotton with his grandfolks, and they picked up and moved in the middle of the night. But I think they were in a situation where they felt like they weren't going to be allowed to leave. My folks were Mennonite. I guess that kind of community, that church community was important to them. It was just something I had to do on Sunday for me.
There you go. You got
Yeah, I don't know. I was definitely, I think, a spiritual person and someone that was sensitive to spiritual energies. When I left Indiana, part of what I was leaving was the sense of oppression that I felt. I was just very happy to be away from that and redefine myself to a certain extent. Otura Mun is short for Otura Iroso, which is a sign in Ifa. It is one of the 256 signs of Ifa that are past that the Orisha Orunmila has already lived. The name is sort of everything to me in a way. It's how I'm going to understand my path in this life and what I've chosen to accomplish. What my gifts are, what my weaknesses are. Yeah, it's sumamente significant at this point. I started drumming in 5th grade, you know. My mother sort of tricked me into to studying an instrument, and I said that I wanted to play the drums. She surprised me, and I had drum lessons the week after I mentioned it. So my mother was the one that played an instrument. You know, my father sang in the church. He's got a great voice, but he didn't play an instrument per se. And I was really into drum and bugle corps as a kid, you know, all through high school. And I had a really kind of inspirational drumline teacher. Somebody was able to inspire me to dedicate myself to an instrument. I see it on down in my life. When I decided I wanted to start DJing, I just locked myself in a room for like a summertime, and I got super nice in 6 months.
Record that, yeah. It's recorded.
The same thing happened when I decided I wanted to start playing rumba. I knew how to dedicate and how to single-mindedly focus on something. You're letting go of your thought process about the physical world that you're in at the moment. Like, lose your sense of self and be part of this thing that's larger than you. In the rumba, for example, which is definitely a conversation between people, my favorite instrument is the quinto, and that's the one that like speaks the loudest. It also is answering the singer, but it lets your soul just sort of rip. The place you sort of have to put yourself to get into sync or drum clean with the guys that are next to you is like a zero place. It's not like you shut your mind off, but you sort of become of no mind. You know, it's a type of meditational state. It had to do with my ancestry. I was part of it already. I just didn't know how. I didn't know how to access that invisible world, and I needed some help to do that. And so I went to a consulta with a babalawo who became my padrino or my godfather in Ifa. I'm not sure what the first sign I pulled was, but he asked me, does your family come from money? I said, not my immediate family, I'm adopted. We talked about my brother who had passed away. I said, is he part of what you would consider an ancestor of mine in the Yoruba faith? This is whoever raised you, that's your family. So we're talking about the people that were around you as you were growing up, that raised you, that were part of your life, and we're also talking about your actual bloodline. I felt for the longest time that my brother was with me and he was protecting me. There were even moments in time where I heard his voice, like heard it, or I heard him through dreams. There was just a bunch of moments where I felt like his spirit had not elevated and was trying to communicate with me. Come to find out, the animal that rules Otura Mun is the gorilla. The gorilla in Otura Mun is an animal that is tortured. And nobody understands the gorilla because he's always just making a fuss. The gorilla fusses himself, fusses himself, and his heart explodes, and he dies. They're like, look, have you had a hard life? And I was like, yes. And they're like, you need to let those hits go. Just let whatever that pain and suffering be gone from your life and move forward from this point. Part of the trip I had made to receive Ifa was to receive that message as well. I don't believe in coincidence anymore. It was, in the cards for me. It was part of my destiny. '97 was my first trip to PR. I was living in Texas at the time and traveling back and forth between Indiana and Texas. And one of those flights got messed up and the airlines gave me a voucher. And so I used that voucher to get to Puerto Rico. I took $150 for 2 weeks and just sort of hopped off the plane. Right away, I was like, hey, where's the international youth hostel guys? And people sort of laughed at me and said, there's no youth hostels here. There's only cheap hotels. And, the money I had, it wasn't going to cut it. So I ended up sleeping in the street. There was just music everywhere. And everybody sort of converged on Old San Juan. I was very in touch with the energy of Elegua as well, because Elegua is the owner of the crossroads. And my Elegua, or my Eshu, is Eshu La Roye, the Elegua of the street. The spirit of Elegua, opener and closer of doors and opportunities, was there for me. I'm not sure if I had already, I definitely hadn't received my mano de orula, and I didn't know that I was a son of Oshun, but I did a what they call an adimu, which is a sort of offering for Oshun. It was maybe one of the first adimus I did. I saw that this energy and these offerings and this relationship with the orishas can be quite literal. I mean, her element, her physical element is the rivers, you know, is river water, fresh water. Typically, when you're making a sacrifice to her, you're going to leave that sacrifice in the river. She represents happiness, creativity, and everything that's como dulce y bella en la vida. Anything that's yellow, and once again the color yellow. Lo calabaza, so the pumpkin is her fruit as well. You know, I had asked Oshun, I need a relationship right now. Please bring me a beautiful black woman. I'm taking a beating in life. During this adimu that I did at my padrino's house, who lives on like a second floor in this spot in Old San Juan, we said these prayers together, and I made this offering, stepped outside or whatever, and I immediately hopped on the phone. I'm looking at the phone, and I saw somebody walk by me. It was a woman, but I didn't even really look at her. She got like halfway up the block, and then I kind of looked left. A gorgeous woman, jet black skin, and she had a head wrap on that was yellow. The most Oshun looking thing I've seen in my entire life as soon as I made this offering. I was just freaked out by the entire thing, and I just sort of let her go. I've had a laundry list of relationships, and I still feel like Oshun hasn't said, yes, this is the one. And so I'm still living a life of solitude. I don't have the answers, you know, and that there's a world out there that I know exists, but I am unable to access, and that I need to understand, I need to be in touch with. Maybe I lacked that humility, you know, earlier on. I try not to look back as much as possible. You know, and this life or this destiny of Otura Mun is the work that I've chosen this time.
Corralillo me lleva.
Apetico Gallardo. Alex vivo en el baile.